Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of me going through my architecture project work so far. I hope you enjoyed the video. Some books, of course, reading as much as you can. Whether it's going to be in the library, going and collecting the books, or even if it's online. Online is so much easier. I know people say go to the library, but the library also has ebooks of the same kind of the same copies that you need. So don't think that by taking out 10 books and reading them that it's going to be great. Even if you take out a couple books or you go through a couple articles online and you take out the key points and you apply them to your project and you adapt them in such a way that is relevant, that's what's really needed. Use the information wisely. Don't just read for the sake of reading because you want to show off that, I've read X number of books, now I know what to do. No, it's not like that. Again, more newspaper articles, but this time focused on Venice and kind of how do I say it? The kind of distress that the place is going through in response to these climate impacts. Sustainable interventions. So let me go to the next one quickly. Yeah, so these are a couple collages that I did. Initial collages, seeing how can I kind of work with the river that borders the island, and how can I bring it in to create a scheme. These are so abstract because the scale of this is ridiculous when you think of it, but it's just for initial conceptual ideas. Again, laboratory for children and residents to learn. An ecological project, working with the fish farms, the fish huts that they've been making, collaging them in to the existing site, making it kind of look more realistic and seeing how people could interact with them. Investigating a slow in the lagoon, so different kind of ideas and different kind of precedents that have been used. How can I capture these moments and how can I ensure that my response to the climate emergencies is kind of first and foremost reasoning for this scheme, and then secondly, what are the human experiences, what are the user experiences going to be, because that's also extremely important and something, whether it's through the views, whether it's through the form of the building, materials, so many things to consider, but it needs to be such a, I used this word before, but it really needs to be a sophisticated project that just hits all of these points at a high level for it to kind of work. Traditional and contemporary Venetian architecture, just a collage, looking at like what exists, some of the future projects, and merging them in and kind of getting the sense of kind of place, firstly for Venice, but secondly for when I'm working on water, what could I bring into the scheme? Working and designing with unstable platforms, and this is quite interesting because this is something that I'm definitely going to need to factor in, because with the changes in water level, can I design a scheme that works as the sea level rises and when it lowers, and what does that look like? Do I have individual components that I can bring in that are floating, that go underground, that are supporting elements that maybe they also can rise? I don't know. It's just really exciting. And things such as boat transportation, can I create a network of systems that works with not just this island but other ones and connecting them? Lots of systems and strategies for long term to be considered. I've been critiquing current architectural responses to sea level rises, whether it's floating structures or merely just building on stilts. But can we work with the water? Can we work with these natural elements to provide greater benefits for the building itself and the surrounding context? That's what's interesting. And maybe the fact is that people aren't doing this in industry is time, because it's going to take a lot of time. But we have time to do this, so let's not put it off even more. Explore nature as a web of relations, and I was pinpointing some of the major areas that lead up to my site, and things that I could be considering. And on the right hand side, it shows that these areas, what they look like, the conditions, the topography, and can I create interventions within these areas which will then dictate how much fresh water, how much sediment comes to my area and my scheme. Another elevation profile, these are the high, kind of did it around I did it along the river that runs around the Jesolo, and the key points that have been kind of shown on the diagram, 4 meters high, -1 meter, 5 meters, 0, -1 again, all these changes in depth and water levels, is quite astonishing. And can I use this data in such a way that can provide greater use for my building when it comes to extracting water from the river into the lagoon? What are the areas that I can do that in? What areas can't I do that in? And could there be any interventions such as weirs, control points, locks, undershot weirs, overshot weirs, things like that. Again, from that report, the bathymetrics of the lagoon, beautiful diagrams. Subwater layers and bathymetry of the Venice Lagoon. This was a beautiful diagram. So this was initially, the first half is actually from the Rhino model created that shows the different underwater levels, and the second half shows kind of the land types. Another collage, what I call it, a complex web of interactions. So can this be a system of different kind of mechanisms that work together along kind of an edge or a strip of Venice that I think is quite interesting to play with. Yep, so some more kind of precedents, some more things, whether it's going to be through existing projects, conceptual projects, Midjourney. Don't get me started on Midjourney. I think it's great. I think it's a great tool. However, it's just, I think in my opinion, an image visualization tool that's great for conceptual development and great for ideas and initial things. But when it comes to it, everything lies in the hands of the creative, and we need to, if we're going to use this tool, we use it as a basis for, initial ideas, and we work from there, because factors like Midjourney they don't take into consideration things such as the environment, climate, people's needs, the economic state of the world so far, and for the future, things like that. And that's where we step in. That's where architects need to not abandon these tools and forget about them, but to utilize them in an effective way. Precedents such as Ahmed Zero, this great architectural practice that my tutor showed me, beautiful drawings, beautiful work, and the projects that meet the needs of the given sites. LiDAR scan of the lagoon and the river channels. Sedimental particle simulations. So I've been pushing quite hard to try and use and learn more tools such as Houdini for my projects, and seeing how particle simulation can be used, because if I'm going to be working with sediments, can I track the sediment? When the sediment comes into the lagoon, where's it going to go? Where's it going to disperse? How can it form future kind of areas and land over time, all predicated and dictated on this route or this network that I've kind of designed? It could be interesting. Greenfield sites, again, just playing around some conceptual ideas. The history of the Piave. So looking at, historical data, historical information of this new site that I'm working towards. What happened there? What's happening now? Can I work there? What can I bring in? Things like that. Infrastructure biodiversity for architecture. So different kind of precedents that I've been looking at. These all relate to kind of the previous ones that I've showed in this video so far, and it's all about being kind of responding to the context. Respond to the context in such a, especially for my site being Venice and the lagoon and the water and working with all of these different environmental impacts, responding in a delicate way, responding in a kind of with a level of fragility when it comes to it, and sensitivity is going to be key. Oh wow! So yeah, this area was one that I was kind of pushing on most recently, as bringing this level of renewable energy into it. This kind of hydro-powered, and looking at these examples of the hydroelectric power station, the Erlin China hydropower plant project, and the Three Gorges Dam in China. All of these different scales, of course. I mean, the one on the left is the one most suitable for mine. But looking at the other ones and being like, these, just understanding the systems, how they work, can I bring them in? Although like Venice is so flat, maybe I have areas of like 1 meter, 2 meters, and even those drops can provide electricity. Again, understanding the site, what's there, investigation of potential sites. So seeing, can I work with the fish farms? Can I work with the areas that they join together? Any control points? Any areas of significance, such as that bridge that was shown on the previous slide? Can I work around this kind of corner? And it's something that I'm still considering right now, and excuse me, and designing around. But I think it's something that needs more thought behind it, because there's so many elements that are joining together and coming together, and it kind of bleeding into the lagoon. And there are some houses. Along the edge as well. So current existing sites, and the current users and people who are living in the area. These are all factors that must be considered. Again, some more research into the Piave river restoration, technical exploration of the Piave. And here we go. So the poster preparation. So we had an exhibition, and I'm going to put the 2 JPEGs of my project on the screen right now. And but these were the initial kind of drafts that I kind of made up. So I just want to add the process of designing the posters into the video. Into the design diary. Oh, why did I do that? Here we go. These are the final posters. These are the final hypothesis posters that I created for the exhibition. Really happy with how it went. Got some amazing feedback from different tutors. Not my own tutors, because my tutors have been giving me feedback every single week, but having the opportunity at these exhibitions to talk with different lecturers, professors, and guests who come to the university was such a great opportunity to get feedback on. Again, more river restoration techniques, hydrodynamic modeling, and again looking at precedents, the bathymetry, and this elevation profile of the new site that I'm working on, and highlighting and kind of pinpointing the locations of these dips, the high points and the low points, 7 meters high, and then we have areas that are 1 meter and 0, so there's such great changes in levels. Can I work with this, and in what way? Understanding more about dams, like I said earlier, but now going into like how are they built, what can I use them for, is it necessary, is it required? How does the river breathe? So yeah, this was something that in the blue, the highlighted blue, was something that caught my attention so much. Rivers are a surprisingly large source of greenhouse gases, and water pollution makes their emissions many times worse. That's astonishing. And long story, long thoughts in a shorter form. This is something I really want to work on. Can I improve the conditions of the river before that water enters the lagoon? How can I work with this? What can I do along the strip of the river at different points along the way to improve not only the quality of the water, but to increase the amount of sediments that are coming into the lagoon from all these different areas? It's going to be a challenge, and I think I'm going to be studying more into kind of factors such as the geography and the geology side of it, and also the engineering side. As architecture students, we mainly just look at things such as Arc Daily, Design, or even things that we come across on Instagram before. But now, and especially when you're starting your masters, I'd say from your first year of undergraduate studies, but now that you're in masters, and now that I'm in masters, it's so important to expand on this more, because when you go into practice, these are the kind of, not necessarily the types of projects that you'll be working on, but the types of like critical and creative thinking that we need to do. So now that we have the opportunity, and we're not limited by client, we're not limited by budget, we're not limited by size, we're not limited by program, let's do as much as we can on the projects that we can freely create within this university environment and have fun with it. Hydropower dams make a fish-friendly splash. So yeah, more hydropower research, the different types of water control strategies such as locks, weirs, barriers, some of the precedents, and water filtration on a large scale. That's going to be important for me to kind of look more into as I'm creating strategies along the river and in the lagoon. Some theoretical collages. These were towards the end before the Christmas break that I was working on. And again, seeing how this kind of particle simulation, how can these if the sediments that come through in this area, what's it going to create and how is it going to impact the existing site? Could this be a strip that kind of comes directly from this flow of the water from the river into the lagoon, like a kind of I don't want to say a dagger, but in this collage it looks like kind of this destructive element. Working with the edge, working with kind of all of these points along the outer edges of the lagoon, and kind of merging with the land itself. So this kind of how do I say it? This dialect, kind of this conversation between the land and the water, and how can I create a scheme that merges the two together that also factors in elements for climate change, the current environmental needs, the current environmental threats the site is experiencing. And the final collage that I did for that's such a bigger scale that merges things that I've been looking at online, cutting away, merging in, warping around. And president investigation, again, Ahmed Zero, great presidents. Some cartography that I was making, these are really draft because these were for something like an internal studio task that we were doing. And again, kind of the update of that. And again, some more collages that I did before the Christmas break to show my tutor. Again, it's quite nice to see how these elements are not only coming from the source of, not the source of the river, but directly from the river, and how can these kind of come out, expand, and kind of touch points on the different elements within the lagoon that need more attention. And by kind of working with the fish farms, we're providing greater support for fish farmers, carrying on these Venetian traditions that are being lost as the generations, because people aren't passing down kind of the culture onto their children, onto their grandchildren. The sense of identity, the sense of place of Venice is being lost. How can I, working alongside all of these environmental and architectural kind of conditions, make sure that everything relates back to the Venetian people, the Venetian traditions, and the culture of the place? Yeah. Oh, and this was something, the particle simulation that I created on the Houdini. So identifying zones and letting the kind of the program create some simulations of itself, and collaging these into the Google map, the Google kind of 3D perspective map snapshot, seeing how these work. Because they, to me, they look like their own deserted islands, but it's quite interesting to see the kind of the forms and some of the shapes and where the high level density of the particles are, and what this could mean for me and the project. And again, some strategic master plan, identifying areas of increased the stream flow, straight channels from meanders, water control points, riffle bed rivers, and undershot weirs. All of these things that I can implement along the way before it gets to my site, that I'm going to be creating the architectural scheme, but also the benefits of doing these kind of interventions before getting to the main area that I'm going to be designing in. And the final slide of the preparation was just some quick diagrams I wanted to make of like some river restoration strategies that I was researching and looking at prior to all of these collages from the river restoration manual that my tutor showed me. But yeah, that's the last page of the preparation so far. So it's kind of set me up nicely to be like, this is all of the kind of information I need to work with. I've kind of extrapolated and manipulated the data in order to work with the scheme that I'm hoping to work towards and create. And now the next stage is, as we go back to university in like 1 or 2 weeks time, start working on it really. You've done the research, you've got all the background information. Now it's my task to put it all together to create this sophisticated outcome. And to be honest with you, I can't wait. I know it's going to be really challenging, but at the same time, the dissertation is going to be finished. The other module that we're working on is going to be finished. So from February all the way to May, it's just this project. And it's such a great opportunity just to work on this and really, you know, put my all into it. It's my final design project. It's my final year of architecture studies, and this is the project that's going to kind of, this is the project that employers are going to see. So I need to put my all into this, and hopefully it all goes well. So that's the end of part 2 of me going through my architecture project work so far. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.